cause in families where it just can't be talked about for years and even decades. And finally, somebody steps out and we begin to gather our senses, get our rational sense of what happened, because we were placed in a state of cognitive dissonance. So that's what we're hoping to do today, and evaluate some of this evidence that we've not seen in the mainstream media.
And taken radically off course.
I can't make the video work.
2 of the planes have flown.
So what we have is 2 of these jets fly straight into the World Trade Center high-rises, and as you all know, they were destroyed in a large fireball. What we find right off the bat, though, from the street itself, the story is born. The first person interviewed on the street. I witnessed the jet hit the tower, and it fell mostly due to structural weakening by fire, because the fire was just too intense. But this is of course, this is the actual the official story that it took months for them to develop, and right off the street, this particular individual has the story. What we're going to do is look at the scientific method. We're going to follow and find out what actually, well, we have this is the way we winnow error from truth. In Western civilization, we formulate a question: how did the towers come down? We do research, we make observations, we construct a hypothesis. I think they came down by fire, or maybe controlled demolition. We test those hypotheses with experiments, we analyze the results, we draw conclusions. Now, if the hypothesis is corroborated, we report those in this experimental data, these conclusions, in an open, transparent manner for others to follow. If the hypothesis is not corroborated, we think, we go back, we try again, come up with a new hypothesis, until the hypothesis is tested, verified. So we have a body of results that's built upon and used by other researchers, other scientists. This is the scientific method. We're going to see how NIST did with their scientific method, and we're going to apply it ourselves. We'll start by looking at the ways that forces destroy buildings. Fires destroy buildings quite differently than controlled demolitions. Fires, by their nature, are slow moving. They move through an area of the building every 20 minutes or so, leaving the area burned out, looking for fresh new fuel sources. So when a building does collapse due to fire, we see large, gradual deformations. We see asymmetrical collapses, but not in steel-framed high-rise buildings, fireproofed buildings. We've never seen one come down, even though we've had up to 100 examples of very hot, large, and long-lasting fires in these types of buildings. So we'll note that. Also, buildings that fall over, say due to earthquakes, natural causes, they will fall over, not straight down through the path of greatest resistance. They don't crumble. Their components don't decompose into pulverized concrete. We'll look at explosions as well. And let's start with what we would expect to see in fire as it affects steel-framed, fireproofed, or not fireproofed buildings. Jonathan Barnett.
The way in which steel-framed buildings behave in fires depends on their construction. In this test, done by British Steel in 1995, a large amount of typical office furniture was burned to see what would happen to the heavy steel beams that supported the ceiling.
When steel is bare, when it heats up, it gets weaker. It's not that it melts in a fire. In fact, normal fires are not hot enough.
I'm going to try turning the graphics accelerator off, and I'll take my next question. If you're fast enough, are you faster than me?
I got one. Steve said that the decision was made to pull Building 7, and now I've heard they come back and said that he didn't mean that. Is pulling a demolition industry term?
Larry Silverstein was the owner of World Trade Center 7. He's on America Rebuilds, PBS, and indeed, he says that on TV, he was talking to the fire chief, and indeed the fire chief, he says, we've had such terrible loss of life, but maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. So they gave the order to pull, and we watched the building come down. You'll see what I'm talking about relative to Building 7, if I can make these videos work. He came back later and said, well, I meant pull the firemen out of the building. So, is that the way you would talk? If you're pull the firemen out of the building? Also, we didn't have any firemen in the building. Sorry, Larry. They were not fighting the fire. They're standing outside the building, scratching their heads, wondering why they've been ordered not to fight the fire. May I have the next question, please?
What about the kinetic
Can you stand up, please? And belt it out so everybody can hear you behind you.
What about the kinetic energy stored in the airplane, its fuel, its engines, weakening the support columns in the center of the building?
Indeed, the official story notes that we had impact damage from the airplane on several core columns, in fact, were missing. But that does not account for all of the evidence that we have after the onset of destruction that follow controlled demolition. So we'll be looking at that very carefully. Thank you. Question in the back here.
Yeah, how do you initiate the thermite for the explosion to happen? Is there a hypothesis on that?
How do you initiate thermite? We know how normal thermite is lit. It's often lit with magnesium strips. But let's get into the thermite section, and then we'll take a look at that. So buildings that are exploded have thick, billowing, enormous clouds of pyroclastic-like smoke, where the hot gases from the explosives are producing this cauliflower formation with suspended pulverized solids in the mix. This is characteristic of explosives. We also have witnesses that hear sounds of explosions. They see flashes of light. So keep this in mind, because we don't have any stories, there are no accounts of explosives going off according to the official story, and yet we'll be listening to all of these accounts coming up right away, if the videos don't go dark on us as soon as we play them. This was a controlled demolition. And I'll take my next question. I'm going to try another method of accomplishing my goal here, getting these videos to play. Yes, please stand up.
If Silverman says,
Silverstein
says maybe we should pull the building, then how do they accomplish it so quickly? How that happen?
Well, yes, it takes months to plan and place explosives in any high-rise. It's a big, huge project. It does not happen in the afternoon. And guess what? Firemen don't pull buildings. And pull it is, controversially, many people think, though, pull it is a term used by the demolition industry, although it is a term, it is controversial.
Going along with her question, if they were to pull something like this off, what would be the quickest time frame to do something like that, to set up an event like this secretly, with people going in and out of the buildings? The quickest they could pull it off.
Oh, it would take months. Did I get your question right? I mean, it would take months to plan and set explosives. Yes.
After the planning, how long is that?
Well, after the planning, it would probably take months to plan and a month at least to set, maybe more. Probably with the Twin Towers, clearly more. Stephen Jones suggests it would take dozens. Next question.
Has there ever been architectural studies to show why neither of the two buildings deflected off to either side, as is customary in a building with standard collapse? And they would come down a couple of floors and then shoot the floors off to the side because of debris. Has there ever been studies done that would explain why I watched both of those buildings fall? They were just as straight as you could be.
Yes.
From that